Hey guys, this week's exercise of the week is a classic we use for shoulder injuries and improving overhead position and range of motion. It is the ring overhead side glide. So we're going to run through the key cues and common mistakes and the tweaks you can make to get the most out of this exercise and the right stimulus for you or your client's body. So in terms of setup, we are side on to a rig with a gymnastics ring, or you can use a TRX, facing sideways, grabbing the handle or ring with the outside hand and with your weight on the outside foot. So common mistakes would be setting up using the wrong leg, which changes the stimulus a lot, which we'll talk about in a second. The key things to get right is that we want to have the palm facing away, not towards the rig. We also want to reach up to get the hand as high as possible, get a lot of length through the lat and the oblique and that whole lateral chain. If we have the hand too low or the palm facing inwards, then it becomes almost like a row exercise. We get a lot more bicep activation and it blocks the lengthening of this lateral chain here, which is one of the objectives for this exercise. The other thing, one of the common cues you'll hear me talk about in these exercises of the week videos is to stay square on for these frontal plane exercises. So we're trying to stay between two panes of glass, so we're not rotating or flexing the body, the shoulders. And let's watch a couple of reps so you can see one of the ways we get around that is with this small step across. So by bringing the left foot forwards and across, we keep the left side of the pelvis forwards, which blocks one of the common compensations, which would be a left rotation of the pelvis. So people will often turn away from this working side. So that subtle step across with the inside leg reduces, if not eliminates, that as a compensation strategy. In terms of tweaks we can make to the exercise, depending which body part we initiate the glide from, we can change the stimulus. So let's go back. The options we have are cueing leading with the shoulder, which makes it much more lat focused for the stimulus. You can lead with the bottom rib, which will open up the lower lat and the obliques if somebody's not very good at side bending, for example. Or you can lead with the hip, which is great for loading and lengthening the lateral hip. So we're thinking glute med predominantly, if that's the cue. So very subtle, depending on what you're trying to get from the exercise. Any of those are sort of the big three areas in the lateral chain, and you will see as people do the exercise, they have a preference for which one they like to load first and last, if at all. So if somebody is not lengthening one of those three areas, then that's a bit of a telltale sign they don't like it and potentially something to work on. We use this as part of our assessment protocol as well as a corrective exercise. The other things, in terms of scaling, we can move the feet nearer or further from the rig. So the nearer we go to the rig with the foot, the more of our body weight will go into the exercise. And you need to be quite careful because a small change can dramatically increase the demand of the exercise. So especially if somebody has an injured shoulder, you want to start further out with a smaller range of motion and then shuffle in literally like 10, 15 centimeters at a time, do a test rep and see if they can go further. If the compensations get worse as you go further in with the foot, then it's probably too much too soon. So just scale it back slightly. And things to avoid, as we said before, watch out for twisting. A lot of people will turn their eyes towards the rig as well, trying to get them looking straight forwards. Try not to pull yourself, like I say, like a pulling exercise, like a one-arm pull-up type movement. We're trying to reach high and just fall through. So we use this whole lateral chain. Think of it as a side bend towards and then a side bend away. We're trying to use the whole of that lateral chain in conjunction rather than just the hand, arm and shoulder. And another common mistake we want to avoid is gripping too hard. So a lot of people squeeze the life out of that handle, which again, it makes this a very forearm bicep dominant exercise. You can even go open palm to make sure it's a push into the ring rather than a pull. And that just helps retain that lateral chain lengthening stimulus rather than just firing up the arm into a row type movement. And the other thing that I see as a common mistake to avoid is being too single joint focused. So just going at the shoulder or just going at the hip. This is a decent example of the global C shape we want to see from the lateral chain. Like everything in the body, the more joints we use, the more muscles we recruit, the stronger we'll be and the safer we'll be as well. So the goal for this exercise is to establish a nice, even contribution from all of these joint areas. And some people, when doing this exercise, they think, oh, it's just the lat exercise or it's just the lateral hip exercise. No, we want some contribution from each of those areas. We can emphasize one to get it to do a little bit more if it's not contributing as much as we would like. But the overall goal is to establish that nice C shape eventually. But I hope that was helpful, guys. As always, make sure you check out the channel and subscribe to get access to our exercise library of over 600 exercises, exercise of the week breakdowns, and more deep dives into biomechanical issues. And if there are any specific movements you want to see broken down, drop them in the comments and we'll add it to our list. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon.